Once, in a quiet village surrounded by golden fields and soft green hills, there lived an old farmer named Hararam. He had spent his entire life working the land, plowing the soil, sowing seeds, tending to crops, and feeding the village with his harvest. But Hararam had a problem that troubled him day and night. He had 3 sons, strong in body but lazy in spirit. They avoided work, slept late into the day, and spent their time in gossip and games. While the father toiled under the hot sun, the sons lounged in the shade. Many evenings, Hararam tried to teach them the value of effort. "My sons," he would say, "these fields fed you since you were born. If you do not work, they will turn to dust." But the sons only nodded politely and returned to their laziness. Years passed. Hararam grew weaker, his back bent like an old tree, his hands trembling from age. One night, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and knew the end was near. He called his sons to his bedside. The sons gathered around him fearfully. "My children," Hararam whispered, "I won't be here much longer. But before I go, I must tell you something." They leaned in. "Somewhere in our farmland," he said slowly, "I have buried a treasure. If you want to find it, you must dig for it." "A treasure?" the sons exclaimed, suddenly wide-eyed. Hararam nodded weakly. "Yes, work together. Dig every part of the land. The treasure is there." Those were his final words. The next morning, the whole village gathered to mourn the old farmer. But even as the funeral smoke rose into the sky, the sons whispered to each other, "A hidden treasure. Father left us riches." The very next day, for the first time in their lives, the 3 brothers went to the fields with shovels. They dug under the mango tree, beside the old well, near the fence, across every corner of the land. They dug from sunrise to sunset. Days turned into weeks. The villagers watched in astonishment. The lazy sons were finally working, but no matter how deep they dug, no treasure appeared. Exhausted and frustrated, they finally sat in the middle of the field. Was Father lying? Where's this treasure? Are we fools for believing him? But as they looked around, they noticed something strange. The soil they had dug was now soft, rich, and perfectly tilled, better than it had ever been. One of the sons said, "We already prepared the land. Shall we at least plant some seeds?" With nothing left to lose, they sowed the fields. Weeks later, the rains came. Then the sun shone. And soon, the land exploded with the richest, tallest, most abundant crops the village had ever seen. The harvest brought in wealth far greater than any treasure chest could offer. Grain filled their storage, money filled their pockets, and prosperity filled their home. It was then they understood. Their father's treasure was not gold or jewels, but the reward of hard work. Tears filled their eyes as they remembered his final words, and for the first time they honored his wisdom. From that day onward, the sons worked the land with pride. The laziness disappeared, replaced by gratitude, for the treasure they found was not buried in the soil, but awakened within them. Moral: true wealth comes from hard work. Labor itself is the treasure that never fails.